I grabbed the ashes of what used to be my passport and let them run through my fingers. There was the final proof that my marriage was over. Jennifer had burned my only chance to escape, to breathe, thinking she would keep me cooped up at home with the kids while she visited a sick friend in Santorini. The timing couldn't have been more ironic. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like to get access to more stories like this. Hours earlier, I had signed the final documents. My startup, built during sleepless nights while Jennifer complained about the noise from my keyboard, had just been sold for $2 billion. $2 billion that she never even knew existed. "Love, you don't need that trip," she had said the night before, messing with my hair as I worked. "The kids miss you, and besides, your company is just starting out. It's not like you're the next Zuckerberg." Always the same condescending phrases, always that same look of pity. Now everything was coming together, the secret calls, the all-day yoga classes, and the name Scott appearing on her phone notifications whenever she thought I wasn't looking. Scott. The guy from the investments department she introduced me to at a party. The same guy who was now going to take my wife to Greece while I was supposedly left at home clueless. I took a deep breath and made my decision. There would be no shouting, no dramatics. Instead, I grabbed a small suitcase and packed only the essentials. On the nightstand I left a simple note: "I got the message. Take care." She would interpret it however she wanted, probably thinking I had been convinced to stay with the kids, who were at my mother-in-law's that weekend. I called Rebecca, my lawyer, as I drove away from that house. Jennifer burned my passport. She's out with another guy. I need to protect my assets now. Rebecca didn't hesitate. Come to my office immediately. Bring the prenup. Meanwhile, I used my phone to access the bank app and freeze all our joint accounts. I transferred what was legitimately mine to accounts that Jennifer didn't even know about. If she wanted war, she'd be entering it unarmed. The next day, I received an unexpected message. It was Ashley, Scott's fiancée. "We need to talk," the message said. "I think our people are having fun together in Santorini. We met at a small, low-key cafe." Ashley looked devastated but determined. She showed me messages she'd found, photos that Scott had sent to Jennifer, plans they'd been making for months. "I have access to his Instagram account," Ashley said. "And to the hotel bookings. I can help you get all the proof." We formed an unlikely alliance. Ashley sent me screenshots of every compromising conversation between Scott and Jennifer. Meanwhile, the security cameras in our house, which Jennifer never knew I could access remotely, showed her rummaging through my drawers looking for money before leaving. "She's trying to call you," my brother Jason warned, the only family member who knew where I was. "Her credit card was declined in Santorini," he explained. "She's in a panic." I ignored the calls. Instead, I sent an email to Sarah, a journalist I had met during the sale of my company. "I've got a story about betrayal, manipulation, and a digital influencer who isn't who she claims to be. Interested?" With Rebecca, I finalized the legal strategy. The prenup was rock solid. Jennifer wouldn't have access to anything related to the sale of my company. Ethan, my partner, made sure all the documents were in order. I changed the security codes on the house, I told Rebecca. And I arranged for a company to change the locks tomorrow. From my new penthouse apartment, something Jennifer never dreamed I could afford, I watched the city. For the first time in years, I felt the weight leave my shoulders. The burned passport didn't stop me from going anywhere. In fact, it set me free. 3 days later, Sarah's article was published. "The Double Life of an Influencer, When Reality Outshines the Feed" was the headline. Without naming names explicitly, the article detailed in striking terms the life of an influencer who promoted family values online while cheating on her businessman husband. The photos of Jennifer and Scott in Santorini, carefully edited to protect identities but still recognizable to those who knew them, completed the piece. The storm on social media was immediate. Her followers started speculating, connecting the dots. Messages filled her comment box. "Is it about you? Who's that guy in the pictures? Where's your husband?" Jennifer desperately tried to control the damage, posting tearful stories denying everything, calling it fake news and misogynistic attacks, but the damage was done. I got a call from Ashley later that same day. Scott lost his job, she said, sounding oddly calm. Apparently, traveling with the wife of a potential client is not exactly looked upon kindly in the investment world. I didn't feel joy at that news, only a strange sense of justice. Meanwhile, Jennifer's follower count was dropping by the hour. Brands began canceling advertising contracts. The digital empire she had built on authenticity and family values was crumbling under the weight of truth. After a week of dodging Jennifer's persistent calls, I finally answered. I agreed to meet her at a diner near downtown. I picked a public place on purpose. I arrived 15 minutes early and watched her walk in. Jennifer looked different, dark circles under her eyes, her hair less styled than usual, and simple clothes instead of the perfectly coordinated outfit she wore for her photos. When she saw me, she forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Love, it's so good to see you," she said, sitting down across from me and trying to hold my hands. I instinctively pulled back. This is all just a terrible misunderstanding. Those photos, they're not what they seem. I kept my face neutral. And what do they seem like, Jennifer? Scott is just a friend who happened to be in Santorini. We ran into each other by chance, Anne. Please, I interrupted, I have every message between you two. I have the hotel receipts, the joint tickets, the plans you made while I was working. Her expression changed quickly. The smile vanished, replaced by an intensity one knew all too well, the same intensity that always came before her most effective manipulations. Look, I made a mistake, okay? Everyone makes mistakes. Tears began welling up. Think of the kids. They need a dad. They need a mom. They need us together. Kids deserve honest parents, I replied calmly. And what about that passport you burned? Jennifer swallowed hard. It was a moment of madness. I was afraid of losing you, of you traveling and meeting other people. You work so much, you're always distant. So distant that you didn't notice I sold the company, I said. Her face froze. What company? My startup. The one you called a little project. The one you said would never amount to anything. The silence between us was heavy. Jennifer blinked several times, trying to process the information. How much? She finally asked, her voice almost a whisper. $2 billion. The shock on her face was genuine. For the first time in our marriage, I saw Jennifer completely speechless. 2 billion? Yes. So we are. I am, I corrected. The deal was closed on the day you burned my passport. The day before your trip with Scott. Jennifer quickly regained her composure. I could see the gears turning in her mind, recalculating her strategy. Love, this is amazing, she exclaimed, forcing enthusiasm. I always believed in you, I always knew you'd make it. We can get through this, start over, maybe even buy that beach house we always dreamed of. I grabbed my briefcase and pulled out the prenup we had signed years earlier. I placed it on the table. Remember this? Clause 8, Paragraph 3. In the event of proven infidelity, the unfaithful spouse renounces any rights to the business gains made during the marriage. Her face went pale. This isn't over, Jennifer said, her voice now cold. I'm going to fight for everything. Do you have any idea how much it costs to raise our kids? Do you know how hard I worked for this family while you were playing entrepreneur? Rebecca has already prepared the shared custody agreement. The divorce papers come tomorrow. As for the money, you keep what you earned with your influencer work. It's only fair. Jennifer abruptly stood up, knocking over the coffee. You're going to regret this. No one humiliates me like that. You did that to yourself when you burned my passport, I replied, remaining seated. It was the best thing you could have done for me. After that meeting, I felt a freedom I hadn't experienced in years. The following months were all about rediscovering myself. I started reconnecting with people Jennifer had kept out of my life. I called my brother Jason. "Are you free for lunch tomorrow?" Jason laughed on the other end of the line. "The prisoner finally got parole?" We met at the Italian restaurant we used to go to before I got married. We talked for hours, catching up on years of distance. "She never liked me," Jason commented between bites of pasta. "She never liked anyone who could influence me," I replied. "And now, what are you going to do with all that money?" I smiled. "I'm heading to Florence. Remember how Mom always dreamed of visiting the art galleries there?" Jason nodded, his eyes welling up slightly. Our mother had passed away before she could fulfill that dream. "I'm going to set up a foundation in her name," I continued, "to help emerging artists. And I'm thinking about a new digital platform too." "Another startup? Don't you think you should take a break?" "This one's different. I'm calling it Vero. A digital space based on authenticity, not appearances. The exact opposite of everything Jennifer represents." Jason smiled. "She would hate that." "Exactly." On the following Sunday, I took the kids to the park. Emma, 7, and Lucas, 5, were confused about the separation, but were adjusting well. Jennifer had tried to convince them that I had abandoned them, but my constant presence disproved her words. "Dad, Mom said you didn't want to live with us anymore because you got rich," Emma remarked while swinging. I gently stopped the swing and knelt in front of her. "Emma, sometimes grown-ups just can't live together anymore, even when they love their kids very much. I will never, ever abandon you. I promise." Lucas came up holding a melting ice cream. "Can we go to your new place today?" "Of course you can. Actually, I decorated a special room just for each of you." Their faces lit up. Jennifer had forbidden them from seeing my new apartment, but the judge had granted regular visits. After leaving the kids with the nanny, I did something I had been putting off. I called Michael, my best friend from college, whom Jennifer always hated. "Man, I thought you were dead." Michael answered, no bitterness in his voice, just his usual humor. "Almost," I replied. "I got divorced." There was a whistle on the other end. "Finally free of the witch?" "Sorry, buddy, but I had to say it." We talked for hours. Michael now lived in Seattle working as a game developer. I promised to visit him soon. "You know, I'm planning a trip to Florence," I mentioned. "Wanna come along? Like old times? Old Mike and Larry in Europe? The Italians aren't ready." I laughed at the mention of our old nickname. "Don't call me Larry, it's been years." Jennifer hated it, didn't she? Exactly. Florence was transformative. Walking the cobblestone streets, visiting the museums and galleries my mom had always dreamed of seeing, I felt her spirit with me. I took pictures of every painting she mentioned in the art books she used to collect. That night, sitting in a small trattoria with Michael, savoring Tuscan wine, I jotted down notes about the foundation I was going to create. "To your mom," Michael toasted, raising his glass. "And to your freedom." That night, looking at the stars over the Arno River, I thought about the irony. Jennifer had burned my passport to keep me locked down, but those ashes turned into the wings of my liberation. I came back from Florence with a renewed sense of purpose. I was no longer the insecure man that Jennifer manipulated. I set up my new office in the downtown building that overlooked the park where I used to take the kids. Ethan was with me, more excited than ever about our new venture. "So, Vero? Authenticity in a world full of filters?" Ethan asked as we arranged our first team meeting. "Exactly. A platform where being yourself is not just acceptable, it's the only thing that matters. No algorithms that reward sensationalism, no visible metrics that turn human interaction into a competition." We hired a small but talented team, programmers who believed technology could bring people together instead of polarizing them. Our first version of the app was set to launch in 6 months. Meanwhile, I formalized the creation of the Helena Lima Foundation, in honor of my mother. The focus would be to support emerging artists and democratize access to art. When the news broke out in the media, I received an unexpected message from Jennifer. "Wow, now you're a philanthropist. Always wanting to be in the spotlight." I ignored it. She had been furious ever since the judge kept the prenup intact. Her social media followers had declined drastically, and the brands that used to chase her now kept their distance. Instead of replying, I dove into the work for the foundation. We bought an old warehouse and transformed it into a gallery for emerging artists. The first exhibition was scheduled to open the same weekend Emma turned 8. "I want my party to be at the new gallery, Dad," she asked during our weekend together. "Can I invite my friends to see the paintings?" I was touched by her interest. "Of course, Princess. We're going to have an amazing party there." Lucas, who was almost 6 now, tugged at my sleeve. "Can I draw something to put on the wall too?" "Absolutely, champ. I'll reserve a special spot just for your artwork." The night before the party, I received a call from Jennifer. "I need you to take care of the kids next weekend too. I have a campaign opportunity in Los Angeles." "Jennifer, that's not my weekend. I have a presentation for Vero at the tech conference." "Always your career first, isn't it?" she replied bitterly. "Some things never change. I'll see if Jason can take them while I'm presenting. After that, I'll pick them up." "Whatever." She hung up. Emma's party was magical. Kids ran around among contemporary sculptures, drawing their interpretations of the exhibited artwork. I hired art educators to explain the concepts behind each piece in a playful manner. Jennifer showed up at the end, clearly uncomfortable in that environment that celebrated everything she was not: authenticity, genuine expression, real connection. "Nice little cultural party," she commented sarcastically as we bumped into each other near the cake. "They'd rather be at an amusement park." I looked at Emma, who was glowing as she showed her friends the drawing Lucas had made, proudly displayed on a wall dedicated to children's art. "I think they're right where they belong," I replied calmly. In the following weeks, Vero moved ahead quickly. The beta test showed promising results. Users felt more connected, less anxious, more authentic. Our anti-algorithm approach was working. "We have investors wanting in," Ethan commented during a meeting. "The concept is really resonating." "Keep the equity in our hands," I replied. "We're not going to repeat the mistakes of other platforms." One afternoon, while I was finishing up my presentation for the tech conference, I received an email from a publisher. "Hello, we would like to discuss the possibility of a book about your entrepreneurial journey and the philosophy behind Vero." I smiled. Jennifer always mocked me whenever I mentioned writing a book someday. "Who would want to read something you wrote?" she used to say. The tech conference marked exactly 1 year since the day Jennifer burned my passport. A year of total transformation. I put on my favorite suit, the one Jennifer hated because she said it made me look like a college professor, and reviewed my presentation one last time before leaving. The auditorium was packed. Vero had stirred up quite a buzz in the tech industry, and my personal story of overcoming adversity, though never spoken of publicly, added a mysterious layer that piqued curiosity. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host began, "today, we have the privilege of hearing from the founder of one of the most innovative platforms of recent years. A platform that promises to revolutionize how we interact online by bringing back something that seems to have been lost in our digital age: authenticity." I stepped onto the stage amid applause. I looked out at the audience and saw expectant faces. Jason was in the front row, next to Michael, who had flown in from Seattle especially for the event. Ethan smiled proudly from the side of the stage. Even Rebecca, my lawyer-turned-friend, was present. "Thank you all for being here today," I began. "The story of Vero starts with ashes." Literally. A light laugh ran through the auditorium. Exactly 1 year ago, someone burned my passport, trying to stop me from traveling, from exploring, from growing. In that moment, I could have reacted with anger. Instead, I decided to turn those ashes into something new. I advanced to the first slide, which showed the Veyro logo, a stylized phoenix emerging from a burning passport. The real journey isn't geographic but internal. Veyro, from the Latin word for truth, was born out of a deep understanding. We live in a world where people spend more energy building an idealized version of themselves online than actually living authentically. I explained the principles of the platform: no visible like counters, no algorithms that rewarded divisive content, careful human moderation, and integrated digital wellness tools. We're not just building a social network. We're building a community where being yourself is not just acceptable, it's the only currency that matters. During the Q&A, a journalist raised her hand. Your ex-wife was a well-known influencer known for her perfectly curated digital presence. Is Veyro a direct response to that kind of culture? A tense silence fell over the room. Everyone knew about my divorce, even though I had never spoken publicly about the details. Veyro isn't a response to any one person, but to a broader cultural phenomenon, I answered calmly. All of us, at some point, have been tempted to only show our best sides, hide our imperfections and fears. Veyro invites people to bring their full selves, with all the complexities, contradictions, and imperfect beauty that comes with it. After the presentation, while I was talking to potential investors, I noticed a woman waiting patiently for her turn. Sorry for the wait, I said when I finally reached her. Totally worth it, she smiled. I'm Jessica, director at the Digital Arts Institute. I'd love to talk about potential collaborations with your foundation. Jessica had lively, intelligent eyes, and she spoke passionately about democratizing art. We exchanged business cards and scheduled a lunch for the following week. Later, at the celebration dinner with the team, Jason raised a toast. To my brother, who turned a petty act into a revolution. And to our mother's memory, who always said you would change the world. I raised my glass, feeling emotional. And to all of you who believed in this vision. Michael leaned in with a mischievous smile. So, that director from the Institute. I saw how she looked at you. I laughed and shook my head. We're just talking about a business partnership. For now, Ethan teased as he joined the conversation. The next day, sitting on the terrace of my apartment, I opened my memory box. Tucked away in an envelope were the charred remains of my old passport. I took the small bag of ashes and stared at it for a moment. My phone buzzed with a notification: Jessica confirmed lunch on Thursday. I smiled and looked at the city skyline. There was a whole world out there, and now I was free to explore. With a calm gesture, I opened the envelope and let the wind carry away the last traces of my past. Next to it, on the table, was my new passport, still blank, its pages waiting to be filled with new adventures, new stories, new possibilities. The kids were coming over that weekend. We were planning our first international trip together, a tour of Italy, starting in Florence. Emma was excited to finally see in person the works of art she'd read about in her grandmother's books. Lucas could hardly wait to try some authentic gelato. Looking over the city spread out below, I reflected on my journey. A year ago, I was trapped in a toxic marriage, my self-confidence destroyed by years of manipulation and belittlement. Now, I was running a promising company, had a foundation honoring my mother's legacy, reconnected with the people who really mattered, and most importantly, rediscovered who I was. The burning of the passport, which was meant to be my prison, turned out to be the key to my freedom. Jennifer tried to keep me in a small space where she could control every aspect of my life while living out her secret adventures. But the fire she started only lit the way for my true journey. Thanks, Jennifer, I murmured to the horizon, without any bitterness in my voice. For accidentally setting me free. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like to get access to more stories like this. I closed my eyes and felt the warmth of the sun on my face. The future, like the blank pages of my new passport, was full of possibilities. And for the first time in many years, I was genuinely excited to see where life would take me.